Uh, we'll start now. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will start. And good morning to all of you. Yesterday, we have tried to understand the important characteristic feature of the Osyeicthyes. Just to recap what we have discussed yesterday, Osyeicthyes are popularly known as the bony fishes as their endoskeleton is made up of bones. Second important character being the presence of operculum or gill slits and body is externally covered by the scales other than the cycloid scales, that is ctenoid, ganoid scales. These are some of the very important features of this Osyeicthyes or bony fishes, and they are all go for external fertilization and oviparous lay the egg. And then we have tried to understand about two, three examples like Notopteris, flying fish, and then the Exocetus. And the third one was, if my memory goes right, it was the eel. So today we will continue with few more examples, and then uh, probably, if possible, we can study the migration fishes. So the first example which I would like to introduce to you is a very very funny fish. Even it is very hard to believe it is a fish. That is the hippocampus or seahorse. Seahorse is the most popular name. Hippocampus is the scientific name which all of you know that. Uh, it belongs to a family known as Syngnathidae. The members of Syngnathidae are popularly known as pipe fishes because they are very long, slender fishes, and there are even in this seahorse or in hippocampus, we have more than 50 species of seahorses. And all these seahorses or hippocampus, they are found in the tropical and subtropical water, but in a very shallow water. Not in the deep sea, you will not see. Very close to the shore only, many times you will see this, encounter this hippocampus. And they are found all over the world. There is the another very important or uniqueness of this one. They prefer to live in the sheltered area, especially in the area where there is a lot of seagrass beds, coral reefs, or even in mangroves also you can see this hippocampus. That's the seahorse. Now you see the photographs. Uh, uh, it doesn't exhibit externally any character of a fish because when we say fish or think about fish, we have certain imagination. The body should be like this and it should appear like this. But in case of the seahorse or hippocampus, they are totally different. Uh, if you look into the description, they are usually colonial organisms. The colonies are found even in European waters, in the estuaries, North America, South America, dwarfs seahorses about only 2.5 centimeters long. Uh, and especially in the Pacific coast of Central America, you can see that. And even there are larger seahorses found um, anywhere below the Nova Scotia around Uruguay. These are the different species. As I have told you, there are more than 50 species here. Uh, this fish is known to guard their territory. Territorial fishes. They form their own territory and especially almost 1 square meter area habitat, um, especially the male, whereas the females territory range about 100 times that area. Even they may like to have instead of 1 square meter, they may have 100 square meters also their territory. Especially in the seagrass meadows, mangrove strands, coral reefs. Why they require that is they can easily camouflage themselves. and protect themselves from predators or any other enemies. So that's why um, this is wherever the coasts are marked with pale yellow color in the world map. These are the area where you can encounter or come across these seahorses. So these are most. It's not perfectly right if I say they are cosmopolitan distribution, but they are found both in tropical and temperate water. In most part of the world, they are found. See, this is how the seahorses. I hope all of you know why they are called as horse. It is because of their face has more equine resemblance. Equine means horse. Horse resemblance you can see in the head region. So that's why they are called as seahorses. Equine profile, what we call. So they are bony fishes, but they do not have any scales. On the body, you don't see any scales. But instead of that, the skin is stretched over a series of bony plates. On the surface, you can see large number of, see here, you can see large number of bony plates uh, on the surface instead of the scales. These bony plates are nothing but modified scales. These bony plates are nothing but the modified plates and bony arranged in a ring throughout their body. These bony plates are also arranged in a ring. See one, two, see here. One, two, three, like that in the entire ring-like structure. So usually seashore have no caudal fin, and here, throughout each species has a distinct number of rings. The identification or differentiation between the species is the number of bony rings throughout their body. Each species has distinct number of rings. And unlike other fishes, the seahorse swims upright. That is another characteristic uh, feature of the seahorse. Even other pipe fishes do not swim upright. Only the seahorse species swim upright with horizontally. And the seahorses have a cornet on the head, which you can see here. See here, where the cursor is moving. So you can see the cornet on the head, and which is distinct to each seahorse. The shape of this crown varies from one seahorse species to another species. It is like a human fingerprint, I can say that. They swim very poorly because they have to swim upright and they have to use only the dorsal fin to flutter or propel them. And pectoral fins located just behind their eyes, that is used for steering. See here, only this dorsal fin is used, and whatever the pectoral fin, it is used for steering, and seahorses have no caudal fin. So that's why they are very poor swimmers, and most of the time they are found resting in the beds of seagrass or coral reefs with a prehensile tail wound around a stationary object. The tail is prehensile, and with the help of the tail they can anchor themselves by holding any stationary object. They have a long snout uh, that is being used to suck the food, and eyes, there are both two eyes, each of them can move independently of each other, much like a chameleon. Especially the seahorses eat small shrimps, tiny fishes, and planktons. The very interesting factor about the seahorses is the reproduction. Uh, Seahorses, uh, once they were thought being monogamous, that means once male and female pair, their pairing will be throughout their life. But the recent searches show that it may not be true also. Till now, there is some It is not very clear. And the very interesting thing for the seahorse is the reproduction. The male seahorse is equipped with brood pouch. Male pregnancy, male pregnancy you can see here. Male seahorse is equipped with a brood pouch on the ventral or front facing side. Uh, During mating, the female seahorse deposit the eggs in the brood pouch of the male. See, the female lay the eggs, unfertilized eggs. Remember, female lay the unfertilized egg in the brood pouch of the male, where the male fertilizes the egg internally. Then this fertilized egg is carried by the male until they emerge, expelling fully developed miniature seahorses. Then miniature seahorses come out. Here that's a very interesting thing is courtship, which can be in a colloquial language we can say that it's a love making. The courtship, when two male and female seahorses discover mutual interest at the beginning of the breeding season, they court for several days. When they are courting, the others may come and interfere. During this time, they also known to change their color, swim side by side, holding their tail, or grip the same strand of sea grass with their tail, and usually they wheel around the unison. ಏನು ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಿರಲ್ಲ ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಮರ ಸುತ್ತಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ದೇ ಮೇ go around the objects or around in unison. They may revolve around the seahorse, sea grass and all those things. They dance actually. This is known as pre-dawn dance. Then eventually they engage into true courtship dance. And this true courtship dance may last for 8 hours. During this period, the male pumps out the water through the egg pouch on his trunk. Then the trunk expands and an opening and cleaves an opening, showing the emptiness of the brood pouch to the female. So it will pump out all the water in the brood pouch, opens it and shows the emptiness of this brood pouch to the female. Then female lays egg which are in the maturity. Even they continue, she and her mate go off any anchors and snout to snout dance, drift upward out of the seagrass, spiraling, all those dances they do. See, this is the brood pouch of the male, and the male has to show the emptiness of this brood pouch to the female. Then the female insert her ovipositor into the male's brood pouch, where she deposits her eggs, and the male fertilizes it. Once the egg gets fertilized, the eggs are then embedded in the pouch wall, and the eggs become enveloped by the tissues of the male. But the new research indicates that male may release the sperm into the surrounding seawater during the fertilization and not directly into the pouch as was previously thought. We don't know, till it is not clear. Most seahorse species, the pregnancies last for 2 to 4 weeks. The female deposits anywhere from dozen to 1,000 eggs with the help of her ovipositor into the male pouch. Now what happens? The female body gets slim while the male swells. After that, both the seahorse then sink back to the bottom and the female swims away. Uh, Probably this courtship behavior is to synchronize the reproductive behavior of both the male and female. The eggs are then fertilized by the father's pouch, and the male itself secretes prolactin, the same hormone responsible for milk production in pregnant mammals. The same hormone is also secreted. And here, the seahorses are not mammals, so there is no question of milk and all. Uh, the pouch provides oxygen as well as function as an incubator. Within the pouch of the male, eggs then hatch and pouch where the salinity of the water is regulated. Inside the pouch, the salinity of the water is also regulated. This prepares the newborn for the life in the sea. Throughout this incubation period or gestation, the female visits him daily for to say good morning to him. That's all. Then the female swims away. Female seahorse swims away for about 6 minutes of interruption, and then they change the color. Then they may wheel around the seagrass and holding each other's tails. Then the female swims away until the next morning. The male goes back to vacuuming up food through his snout because it has to feed. The number of young ones released by the male seahorse on an average 100 to 200 for most of the species. But in some species it is less than 5, and in some it may be even up to 1500. As I have told you, the pregnancy lasting for 2 to 4 weeks depending upon the species. When the young fishes, what you call fish fry, are ready to be born, the male undergoes some muscular contraction to expel this baby seahorse from her pouch. He typically gives birth at night. Here, who gives birth is the male, gives birth at night, and morning he is ready for next batch of eggs when his mate returns. Like almost all other fish species, seahorses do not care for their young ones once they are born. Many of them die because of predators, or may be swept by ocean current, or may be drifted away from rich feeding ground into some other regions to extreme weather condition. So few of them survive. It is estimated that less than 5 infants for every 1000 birth survive to adulthood. So if give birth to 1000 young ones, probably 5 may live up to adulthood. Of course, the survival rate of these infants in seahorses is very high compared to other fishes, because in other fishes they lay millions of eggs, but here it is 100 or 1000 maximum. So this may be because of they are protected in the brood pouch of the male till egg hatch and the young ones come out. Okay, this is about the seahorse. Latimeria. Then the next example is, it is also known as Gombessa. Latimeria. It's a very interesting fish. You will understand why it's interesting. It can grow up to 2 meters and weigh up to 90 kg. Not because of its length and weight it is important. See, this is how the Latimeria appear. Just observe that very carefully. then you will understand why this fish is different from others. So this Latimeria fish belongs to one group called as coelacanth. They are also known as the living fossils. Why they are called as living fossils? Since last few million years, they never underwent any evolutionary changes. Since last millions of years, they have not changed at all. No evolution has taken place in this fish. So that's why it's a living fossil. And even previously, the people thought that it has become extinct. But there was a first rediscovery in 1938, and the rediscovery of this Latimeria is called as most important geological find of that century, previous century. And uh, this Latimeria belongs to an ancient lineage that has lived around 360 million years ago. 360 million years ago. And till today they are there. Uh, Unlike other living fishes, coelacanths have a hinged joint in the skull. No other fishes have hinged joint in the skull. Uh, as a result of that, front part of the head can be lifted like this. Only front part can be lifted like this. And also have a limb-like lobed pectoral and pelvic fins. Limb-like lobed pectoral and pelvic fins. And unique tail consisting of 3 lobes. Tail fin is having 3 lobes. So there is a receptor organ, what is known as rostral organ, on the head, which can detect the electric fields, with the help of which it can locate the prey or monitor its surroundings. So because of all these things, these fishes are known as very important fish. See, pectoral and fins, how they are modified, even it looks like a leg. And the tail fin or caudal fin has 3 lobes. 1, 2, 3 lobes. These fossils of this coelacanth are found all countries, exception to Antarctica. But now the first living specimen was discovered in 1938 off the coast of South Africa. Their only known population is located in Comoro Islands, a small archipelago of Mozambique Channel. Since then, we could recover many coelacanths in the northeast coast of South Africa, in Sodwana Bay, as well as in Madagascar, Kenya, Tanzania. Even one more species caught from Indonesian water is a distinct species because of its color. See, wherever the yellow dots are seen on the map, this is where you can see the coelacanths. See, these are some of the archive photographs of the coelacanths. And these coelacanths are most active at night. Daytime they spend in submarine caves, usually foraging along the coast at night. Many times the scientists have seen they swim head stacked, that is head down posture. Don't know whether they actually swim like that or it is because of the light or electromagnetic field produced by the submarines and other things. Occasionally they may feed on the drift. They mainly prey upon fish, the lantern and cardinal fish, eels, skates, and many more fishes. You can calculate the age. For this, what you have to do is you have to count the growth rings in their ear bone. If you are able to count the rings in their ear bone, uh, the individual coelacanths may live as long as 80 to 100 years. And coelacanths they live in a deep sea at the depth of around 700 meters below the sea level, but more commonly in between 90 to 200 meters. The latimeria have deep blue color. In the blue ocean, they can probably camouflage themselves from prey species, but however the Indonesian species are brown. They feed on cuttlefish, squids, snipes, small sharks, and other fishes in the deep water. Uh, the coelacanths, as I have told you, they swim head down, backwards, belly up to locate the prey. The rostral organ, that's the electromagnetic sensor which is found on their head, helps in locating the prey. See how these coelacanth fishes appear. You observe the shape and style of the fins. So these female coelacanths give birth to live young called pups, maybe 5 to 25 young ones at a time, and the pups are capable of surviving independently immediately after the birth. But their reproductive behavior is not well known today. It is believed that they are not sexually mature until 20 years of age. Only after 20 years of age they become sexually mature, and the gestation period for this pregnancy is 13 to 15 months. Okay. Then the next example is Channa Marulius, another very popular freshwater fish, Ophiocephalus, sorry. Ophiocephalus is the one. Ophiocephalus channa, Ophiocephalus saurai, there are so many species there. It is commonly known as great snakehead fish or bull-sized snakehead fish, and belong to family Chanidae. Even it can grow up to 1.80 centimeters, almost to 2 meters. Channa Marulius, great snakehead, is found in India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, southern Nepal, and this is one of the most aggressive and predatory fish in the freshwater. These are the characters. Dorsal fin has 45 to 55 rays, and anal fin has 28 to 36 rays. The scale row between posterior margin of the orbit, okay, we need not go to that details. They have a very large mouth, and on the lower jaw one can see 7 to 8 canine teeth, very sharp teeth, behind the single row of villiform teeth, and canine teeth were absent from in some also. It has a red eyes and gold tinged brown to pale grey in the young fish, while older fishes are generally dark brown with large black blotches. The most distinctive marking is the black spot, whose rims are having orange color near the base of the tail fin. So that's why it is also known as eye spot. Maximum recorded length of this Channa Marulius is 183 centimeters and weight 30 kg. This Chana Marulias is capable of building floating nests of weeds and leaves on which it lays orange yellow colored eggs are deposited and then it is left floating. These eggs hatch in 36 to 48 hours and the young fish, the young fry remains in the nest for about 10 days after hatching. The parental carries see. The parent guard the fry for about a month from the predators. See, this is the chana fish. Chana morula is a predatory fish. It can accept most meaty food of suitable size. Mostly, this fish loves to breed in ponds. The chana morelias most of the time you can see in a sluggish or standing water, in canals, lakes, swamps. Mostly if the water is having submerged aquatic vegetation, it prefers that. Usually it is found only in the deep pools in rivers and occasionally in lakes also. During rainy season, when the rain flood comes, even it can enter the flooded forest. Carnivore, it feeds on fish, frogs, snakes, insects, earthworms, tadpole. There are reports this species can hunt water birds, snakes and small rodents which come for drinking water. It's one of the tasty fishes also, but they may bite when caught. So fishermen should be very cautious. Males maintain their territory. The young one to adult one. The blotches you can see, black blotches. Then the next interesting fish is Gambusia affinis. Probably one of the well-talked fish. Though it has no food value, this fish is found everywhere, either introduced or natural. And this Gambusia affinis is popularly known as mosquito fish. It's a species of freshwater and commonly known as Gambusia fish. It is sometimes called as western mosquito fish because Gambusia affinis is known as western mosquito fish. Gambusia holbrooki is called as eastern mosquito fish. Actually, the genus name Gambusia is derived from a Cuban Spanish word. In Cuban Spanish, Gambusino means a useless. Basically, it was considered as a useless fish. See this fish. The mouth is upturned. As far as distribution is concerned, it is found in North and Central America, Mississippi River basin, from central Indiana to Illinois in USA, south to Gulf of Mexico and Gulf slope west to Mexico. It's a natural habitat. But now this fish is found worldwide. Probably it has the widest range of introduction. And as of now, it has a pan-global distribution. Initially it was introduced, now many countries report some adverse ecological impact after introduction. As I have told you, it's a fish of native fish of Gulf of Mexico. This fish is been known to feed on mosquito larvae and the pupal stages of mosquito. This is one of the very hardy fish. It can survive even in water having low oxygen saturation, high salinity, high temperature. Even if the water temperature goes to 42 degrees Celsius for a short period also, they can survive. Because of its more adaptive nature, this species is now be the most widespread freshwater fish in the world. Basically, this fish was introduced from Gulf of Mexico to other part of the world as a biocontrol, as a tool of biocontrol to the tropical and temperate countries to control the malaria, especially which is spread by the mosquitoes. See, actually here where you can see this part is the native of this Gambusia fish. Now see, they are found everywhere because of the introduction. It's a small, stout, dull grey, robust fish with round tail and upward pointing mouth. Male and female are very distinct. Mature females may reach up to 7 centimeters while the male may reach up to 4 centimeters. Anal fin of the adult female resemble the dorsal fin while the anal fin of the adult male is pointed. See, here you can see the male and female, the differences. The anal fin of the male, you see, it is pointed, but not in case of the female. And this fish is abundant in the lower reaches, inhabiting standing to slow flowing water. Wherever the pond is having vegetation, lakes are having vegetation, it is the most common. Backwater. Feeds on zooplankton, small insect, detritus, and mainly on the mosquitoes. Nowadays, this is used as a food for aquarium fishes. It's a viviparous fish. This is most effective in mosquito control and widely introduced. But nowadays, we could find that they started competing with our indigenous fish and upsetting the ecological balance. See, the female can reach sexual maturity only within 6 to 8 weeks. In a year, they may bear 3 to 4 broods of young in a single season. But the first brood may be having only a dozen, but later broods include 60 to 100 young. For fertilization, females need not suck the male because females store the sperm in their reproductive tract up to 2 months. So, give birth to live offsprings and fertilization there only. And even the survival rate of the young ones are much higher compared to the other fishes. Under favorable condition, mosquito fish live 2 to 3 years. Just imagine, they remain for 2 to 3 years. In a season, they produce 3 to 4 broods, and each brood may have hundreds of this one, and what will be the number of this. So, even their success in a new environment, if they are introduced elsewhere in a new environment, their success is almost guaranteed by rapid maturation. And by breeding several times a year and producing broods of around 50 young ones, individual populations have been recorded expanding from 7,000 to 1,20,000 in 5 months. In 5 months, the individual population has expanded from 7,000 to 1,20,000. This is a fish that has been extensively used for mosquito control because they are the voracious feeder. A pair of half-grown Gambusia can consume 5,000 mosquito larvae in 11 weeks. They have upturned mouth and it is easy to scoop the mosquito larva. And it has become a friendly form of mosquito control. But now some problem they are encountering because their population is increasing and it is affecting the local fishes. Then another most interesting freshwater fish which has been extensively cultivated is Labiorohita, which is popularly known as rohu. It's a carp generally found in rivers and freshwater lakes in the South Asia and Southeast Asia. A herbivorous and one of the most delicious freshwater fish comes from Orissa, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and it is considered also one of the sacred food, and even you can eat this fish on all days because it's the most sacred fish. So it is called as rehu, that is the Indian salmon. They are known by different names. See, this is how the Labiorohita appears. A very beautiful fish. Usually in the early stages, this labio feeds on zooplankton. Then it grows and starts eating on the zooplankton also. Juveniles or adults all are herbivores and they feed in the water column, eating mainly on phytoplankton and submerged vegetation. It has a modified thin hair-like gill rakers. When the water passes through these gill rakers, these planktons get trapped and fish feeds on them. And this is a diurnal fish and generally solitary. It reaches sexual maturity within 2 to 5 years in nature, and it is one of the most extensively cultivated fish. Perfectly streamlined body, that the bilaterally symmetrical, moderately elongated, and dorsal profile is slightly arched compared to the ventral profile. Body is covered by cyclosteal scales, no scales on the head. So then they have lateral line grooves and they have the dorsal fin rays which ranges from 12 to 14. All those details you can go through this. It usually inhabits rivers. Occasionally they can burrow to feed on plants. Their breeding season generally coincides with the southwest monsoon. They lay the eggs when the rivers get flooded. They may lay about 2,26,000 to 27,94,000 eggs depending upon the length and weight of the fish and weight of the ovaries. See, at a time it can lay minimum of 2,26,000 and maximum of 27,94,000. Widely introduced outside the native range also for aquaculture. Mostly the people prefer to eat fresh. Actually, wherever this yellow block things you can see, this is the area where naturally the Labiorota is found. But now it has been introduced extensively because it's the most popular pisciculture fish, the fish which can be cultured in ponds. These are the main producer countries of Labiorota. It's a eurythermal species. It does not do well below 14 degrees Celsius. And it's a fast growing species also. It can grow up to 35 to 45 centimeters and 700 to 800 grams in 1 year under normal culture condition. Usually this fish is cultivated with other fishes in polyculture like Seranus mrigala or Katla katla. Then the growth rate appears to be more here. This is another photograph. Minimum age for maturity for both sexes is 2 years. To attain the complete maturity, it's only after 4 years in males and 5 years in females. Spawning season of rohu generally coincide with the southwest monsoon. Most of the fishes breeding season coincide with the southwest monsoon because they know that once the monsoon starts, the water is assured. Extending from April to September usually. But breeding doesn't take place in lentic, that is a standing water environment. It's a polygamous fish. Optimum temperature is 22 to 31 degrees Celsius. Most people go for culture of this introduced and even for artificial breeding. Sometimes the wild seeds are collected from sea, river, because the wild seeds has more value. In pond culture, it can grow up to 900 grams within a single year. The maximum recorded age is 10 years in the culture and length about 200 centimeters and 45 kg in weight. Then after this Labiorota, let me move on to another fish. That's a catfish, Mistus whitatus, striped dwarf catfish. Striped dwarf catfish, where the size is about 21 centimeter. Within 1.4 to 4.4 years, the population can double. It's also found in Indian subcontinent, including Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, all those countries. This is a catfish. So it has a dorsal spine, but weak. Maxillary long barbels, which you can see. See here, these are the barbels, very long barbels. That's why it is known as catfishes. That's a small adipose fin fish. A fin is added anterior to the inner fin. Actually, the color of this whitatus varies with age. Delicate grey silvery to shining golden. But on the body you can see about 5 pale blue or dark blotches. Apart from that, at the shoulder level, there's a dusky spot. Yeah, dusky spot which you can in the shoulder level. Here you can see clearly. So body is elongated and slightly compressed. Long maxillary barbels. and a narrow dusky spot on the shoulder is the characteristic feature. Usually adults live in standing and flowing waters on the side where there are vegetation in the lakes and swamps. Feeds on plants, shrimps, insects, molluscs. All catfishes are carnivores. Oviparous. As I have told you already found they are in the Indian subcontinent. This is the distribution. So for the day we will stop here, and I think we have to discuss about one more fish, one or two more fishes. Then we can move on to the general topic. Yes, Surya, ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಾ? Today I have had some problem with internet and all. Hello, this
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ? Okay. So then we will meet in the next class. That means in the next week. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Okay. Any doubts?
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. If not, I will also wind up. I have one more class.